Hi, it's currently 8:37 p.m. Sorry, it's the second take. But good afternoon or good night, either one. As a greeting, you already know. But okay. I'm back with my trash lighting. As I said, it's pretty late, and yeah, I can only do so much with a desk lamp and my phone. But anyway, okay, so one, I did get permission from the guys to mention them without names, of course. And there's a trigger warning for some parts, and technically any part of it can affect someone, so the whole video, so just be careful. There's mentions of suicide, self-harm, but yeah, so just beware. This is my story from beginning to now. I wrote it and it's like 13 and a fourth of the 14th page long, so it's kind of a long story. So if you want to watch it, you can. You want to watch it in parts, you can. I'm not gonna force you, but yeah. So here we go. Hi, my name is Alma, as you know, and I am currently 18. I graduated high school in July. That's a lie. I graduated high school in June, and I'm currently not going to college. But yeah, here we go. Okay, so as a kid, I have papers right here, so if you see me look down, it's because my mind goes like everywhere. As a kid, I had a good life. I had everything I needed and more. And I don't say that to boast, but you know, in either pre-K or kinder, I had trouble making friends due to the fact that I was bullied, you know? I don't remember if it was a everyday thing, but I do specifically remember the time when one of the more popular girls told the rest of the class to not talk to me and not make friends with me because I was ugly and fat. And of course, everyone listened to her because she was the prettier, more popular one. And it's a dumb comment, but for a kid that young, it kind of stays. The kids, of course, listened to that, and I've always been on the bigger side. And I had a belly then too. I feel like kids are supposed to need to socialize and need friends, so I had a lack of that, and everything started from then. Of course, my family, I was the first daughter, grandchild, sobrina, niece. And my family loved me. Out of my 3 sisters, I'm the one with the most photos. Everyone like knows me, stuff like that. So, I mean, as you know, it only takes one thing to start it, and I ended up watering that seed. In elementary, I don't remember much of those days, like every single part of it, but the main parts, of course, I'm gonna mention. The seed had started to grow. I made my first real friend in 1st grade. Our school had this after-school program because our parents would work late, so therefore they would get out later, and we needed a place to be at. There was like, you could eat, do your homework, play games, all that stuff. And I remember her. We became friends because she offered me food. And me being a natural fat ass, accepted it. But yeah, I don't remember. Oh yeah, we're still friends, actually. I don't remember there being any bullying at that age, but again, I did see myself as ugly and fat. I'm gonna be honest, in the 2nd grade, you know how they say that bullies are usually people who have been bullied themselves? I ended up bullying one of the guys in my 2nd grade class. I don't know if he was in my class, but in 2nd grade, with another one of my friends at that age. And I felt so guilty because of it. And since then, I never felt like I had the right to talk to him or to look at him or be near him or approach him. And I'm not gonna lie, I honestly like apologized, like, you know, actually apologized this past summer, like the summer that just happened. It's currently November, so that's summer. I know I seem like a bitch, but like I said, I didn't feel like I had the right to talk to him, like, or look at him. So that it, not that it's an excuse, but yeah. I don't remember bullying anyone else, but make sure if you know about it or you see someone bullying someone else, please speak up and talk about it, because it's not cool. In the 3rd and 5th grade, I craved attention. But not just any attention, the attention of a boy. I wanted to feel pretty like the other girls who had boyfriends at the time, and guys falling all over them. It's stupid, but if you haven't seen my stupidity from all I've said, then just know you're in for a lot of stupidity. During the 4th and 5th grade, I had stupid crushes, and out of all my past crushes, none of them even make sense. Not that any of them liked me or that I thought they would like me, because again, fat and ugly. At that age, I was given a phone, so I could let my parents know when I was home and stuff like that. Still have to do that. In the 5th grade was when I started talking to strangers. There was this app on that phone. It was already kind of pre-downloaded, and I wanted attention from others so badly that I didn't care who it was from or what kind of attention it was. I realized the app was a dating app. I made an account and spoke to who knows how many people, answered their questions, texted them, replied to them how they wanted me to. At first, I kept saying no, but I guess when I realized that they showed more interest when you went with it, I ended up sending them the pictures and videos they wanted. My parents eventually found out. I got grounded. They threatened the people talking to me. They warned me about the dangers of talking to strangers and doing that kind of stuff. And I promised them that I wouldn't ever do it again. That promise is one out of the 2 promises I've ever broken in my life. And for whoever knows me, they know I take my promises really seriously. And I broke it in 8th grade. In middle school, during the 6th and 7th grade, was mostly just me making friends and having crushes and geeking out over them and stuff. In 8th grade, I was given my first iPod, the one that looks like a regular phone. I felt alone at this age, actually. The seed that had sprouted had now grown even bigger. The friends I had, I never told them how I felt or what I had done in the past. Everything was about them at the time. No offense to any of those I'm still friends with. But I always listened to them and gave them my 110%. But I felt alone. I wasn't popular, so some of them would hang out with the more popular ones and come to me if they didn't really have anyone. I never really said anything, but I craved true friendship as well. I wanted someone that would listen to me and support me and honestly just care about me. So my dumbass went to go download another app. It was a game, a virtual world with avatars and stuff. It was actually a cute game, but in it I got sucked back in to what I had done in 5th grade. Partly because I felt lonely, and kids at that age get curious and hormonal and stuff. So that happened. I met a couple people. Some were honestly just pictures traded or videos. And for a while, I honestly stopped caring. I had lost respect for myself at that point. And out of the app, I actually made a friend. He was my best friend. He was a sophomore in high school at the time, 2 years older than me. He got me into anime, which is something I now love. And the friendship is something I honestly do treasure. However, after a few months, it turned into what I had with the others. We trade pictures, videos here and there, and then go back to being the friends we were. It was just like a normal thing. My high school years. My freshman year, the seed that was planted inside me was still there. However, it was not full grown. The moment I walked into the school, I knew I didn't want to be there. Who did? I remember it very clearly, and I know exactly what I was wearing for some reason. Loneliness, emptiness, and despair. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I hated looking in the mirror. I was so self-conscious at the time. No tight shirts because of my belly, and if I did wear one, I'd like cover up my belly. I still do that, actually. Even when I sit, especially, I'll like cover up that, or I'll hold my belly. And yeah, I hated everything about myself, and I was constantly overthinking about my life and wondering why I was here. I depended a lot on my best friend, and even though I did, I still wouldn't tell him how I was feeling 100% of the time. I would here and there, but I always thought I was a bother, so I never really did, and honestly, it still takes a lot for me to ask for help. But I'm working on it. I was in the ROTC program. I made a best friend there. I've always struggled making friends with girls, especially with everything that happened in middle school, with me basically just following them around and then them leaving and coming back to me whenever they needed me or whenever they had no one else. So I usually just push my girlfriends away, and for that reason I always had more guy friends, and I still do have more guy friends than I have girlfriends. But again, that's also something I've been working on. I actually have more girlfriends now than I did in the past. Anyway, yeah, so I made my first girlfriend there. She, honestly, I love her. I love her very much. She's doing very well. But, yeah, I never labeled how I felt as depression. The person who labeled it as that was my therapist, and she said I just had like a mild form of it. But that's later. I always thought that cutting was stupid and that I wouldn't be able like to actually go through with killing myself until I got to high school. There was so many emotions. Killing myself to make the A's my parents wanted, not having love from another person, not being held or cared for, looking in the mirror and wanting to break it so I didn't have to look at the thing staring back at me. The thing that gave her body away so easily. I found myself absolutely revolting. I didn't see a reason for anything. One day, I got curious and I grabbed a knife from the kitchen. I wanted to see what the point of it was. I had heard of it, and my girlfriend at the time had done it before also. And again, it wasn't from, I didn't get the idea from her. I had known about the idea, but I had always thought it was stupid, so I never tried it until I got curious. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and I managed to irritate the skin a little, just like lift it, because I guess I was too scared to actually like go through with it. Well, I was, because I mean, who does that, you know? I thought it was stupid. It didn't do anything for me. I washed it off, I dried it, and I put it back in its place. I hadn't learned to cope with any of it, so when the time came again that I was feeling all these emotions and everything, I was desperate to make the thoughts go away. The irritation that I got from the knife was enough that time. It only lasted for a few seconds, but I understood. It came another time. This time I found the blades that went to my dad's box cutter. He had a pack of like 50 or 100 of them. It came in like this little weird box type of thing. And obviously my dad had already used some, so I figured out of 50 or 100 he wouldn't notice if I took like one or two. And he didn't. No one did. I managed to break skin that day, and it wasn't anything deep, but again, the skin was broken and there was a little blood. The next times, one just wasn't enough, so it would be 2, 3 the next time, 4 the next time, until I decided to stop. I ended up telling both of my friends at the time, my girl best friend from ROTC and my friend that I made online. They both begged me to stop, but if you know me, you know I've never been one to listen. The bond I have with my ROTC instructors is a father-daughter type of relationship. I never could go to my parents. The relationship with them was kind of rocky, so I didn't feel comfortable talking to them. But like I said, my ROTC instructors honestly felt like my parents, like my dad's. My friend from ROTC opened up to them about her problems, and she ended up telling them about me, what I was doing. So they talked to me. I will forever be grateful to them and to her. It didn't save me completely, but my dad would let me stay in their classroom. I could talk to them whenever I wanted to. I could cry in the other room that they had for as long as I wanted. I could get out of class when I needed it, and they would walk me back to class when I was ready, no matter how long it took me. I was obsessed with another boy back then. I did everything to catch his eye. I met him at this ROTC picnic, and he was just there talking to my girl best friend about all the kind of stuff he did and the girls he messed around with. And me, being dumb, as we know, fell for him. He was like a puppy following around this other girl, and I became the puppy following him. We're actually friends for now. Like, we get along pretty well, but back then kind of played with my heart. I don't think he meant to, but we talk and he knew I liked him. I'd walk the way he walked on purpose. I'd dress nice. I'd make sure to avoid him if we had exercise that day in order to see, because my face would turn all red and I'd be all sweaty and disgusting. But he had me so confused. He told me that if the girl he liked actually gave him a chance, then there wouldn't be anything. But if she rejected him, then he'd think about giving me a chance. And there it was, knowing I was second. And still there. He was a flirt. And he would have his arm around one of the girls and then come back and talk to me or hug me like nothing, and it would confuse me. He told me that he liked me back at one time as well. And I eventually ended up heartbroken. I got into it with my dad because of him, and he eventually said he didn't want us to fight, so he said he wasn't going to pursue anything with me and left it like that. No hard feelings. He's a good guy. Like I said, we're friends, but it left me with a feeling of not being enough and not being good enough, and it affected me so much that I'd start shaking. Hold on, I lost my place. I'd start shaking if I saw him, or if I thought I saw him. If I heard his name, I'd get nervous and anxious. I'd be looking for his face everywhere I went, anywhere I went, for a good long time, like maybe like 2 years after that. I don't know if he was my first love, but I don't want to give him the pleasure of saying that, so you stay as you are. During March of my freshman year, my choir class had a trip to New York for, of course, the ones who paid for it. I went with 3 of my friends. I stayed with the 2 of the girls I roomed with for most of the part. For the most part, sorry. And one night I was up kind of late and I didn't want to sleep, so I hit up my friend, classmate, who was also on the trip. We asked each other questions back and forth, and we just called it the question game because, I mean, that's what it was. And I would always look for him on the trip, and I just like being around him. I hated my birthdays. I prayed that God would kill me, and I grew a hatred for him because he would let me live another year. My relationship with God got very rocky, and I'm still working on it. I'm Catholic, and I was raised Catholic, and I believe, but I was just angry and hurt. Me and my classmate from the trip, we started getting close after coming back. We'd always talk. I'd walk with him. I'd ask to sit with him at lunch. It was a good friendship. The week after school ended, around that time, he confessed he had feelings, and I had feelings too. We started dating, and this relationship was honestly so precious to me. It was innocent and beautiful, and for our like month anniversaries, we'd make like little gifts to each other. We'd write little notes, and it was the cutest thing. My sophomore year, of course, he was my first boyfriend, my first kiss. Thinking about that makes me laugh every time because it was funny and embarrassing because I messed up. Ooh, I messed up on that, so it makes me laugh. The first person I held hands with, my hands get really sweaty, so I'm very sorry for all of you. and my first hug and all that stuff, you know? The occasional makeout and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything bad. He was honestly, to me, the definition of what a boyfriend should be. Like, if, like, his picture should be where the word boyfriend is in the dictionary, because that's, like, the perfect explanation. Me, on the other hand, I should be put where the word demon is. I was not what a girlfriend should have been. I was still going through all the stuff emotionally and everything I was going through. There was times where I didn't really want to talk to him. I'd push him away. I was still cutting, and he was dealing with his own stuff also. Not that he'd bring it up, because he was always like worrying about me. This whole stage of my life, my sophomore year, I was mostly bitch faced. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I blast my music in my earphones. I ignore people. I had my good days, but I would close myself off on purpose. I'd walk out of class before anyone else so that I wouldn't walk with them. Like, I would literally power walk to my next class so that no one would ask me what's wrong or stuff like that, you know? One day, around the 4-month mark, I got mad at him one night. I was working on a project, and I ended up hitting up my guy best friend that I made online. Me and him had stopped the pictures because I had told him about my relationship and that we couldn't do that, and we both agreed. But the day me and my boyfriend argued, I don't even remember what it was about. That same night, me and my best friend ended up trading pictures or videos. I don't know what it was. I completely hated myself for it, as I should have. A boy who was completely in love with me, and I went and cheated. I didn't tell him as soon as it happened, but it ate me alive, kissing him, holding his hand, looking at him, and seeing his smile. I had ruined something so beautiful because I was so stupid. Around this time, I made another friend online through Instagram. He was like around 25 or so, he said. I followed his page, and he would post depressive stuff that I could relate to. One day, he posted something suicidal, and I contacted him. I asked him if he was okay or stuff like that, you know? And we started talking. And this man, again, or whoever he was, his depression, or how he presented it to be, was very bad. It was toxic. I had been able to stay semi-okay for a while. And like I said, it was toxic. He would tell me that he was going to hurt himself. He'd tell me things that would make me worry, and then I'd reply, and I'd be like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Like, let me help you. I'd always be there trying to help him, you know? And it would make me freak out. He also ended showing me this song. It's a very depressing song, and I listened to it every day on repeat, and it was a song about suicide. I actually still listen to it. Doesn't affect me like it did then, but here and there, it's just like, oh, you know, it's a reminder. I tried to help everyone I could, and like I said, I was starting to get better, but I was not 100% okay. And talking to him not knowing how to handle some situations that he threw at me, I beat myself up for it. And eventually I didn't know how to handle my own problems again. I felt the need to always be on the phone waiting for him in case he needed me. I guess that's where me replying in an instant came from. I'm scared someone will need me and that I won't be there like people weren't there for me. Now, if I don't answer, it's because I'm at work or I'm honestly really, really busy. But usually I try to reply as soon as I can. My mom noticed. Everyone noticed. People were asking her what was wrong with me, what was happening with me, why I wasn't the same, why I'd always be in my room, why I would never talk, wouldn't smile, always be bitch-faced. They were asking her. She went through my phone, my diary, everything I had. The cops got involved due to the 25-year-old. They warned me about who it might have been, that it was probably some kind of predator, and that I should be careful and I need to stop doing that. Again, with her finding out about the 25-year-old, she ended up finding out that I was cutting and all these kinds of thoughts I was having. Because of it, they put me into therapy and she suggested boxing. I went because she wanted me to. This is actually my boxing shirt. You can't really see it, but it's old. My relationship with my parents was never really a good one. I was never that attached to them from like a young age. I was always more independent. It's just how I've always been. It was a hard time, and I couldn't have expected them to know how to deal with it. So of course they didn't know how to deal with it, and that was kind of hard also. When I started my therapy, I did not want to talk to her. I had a big grudge against therapy. Someone close to me went, and because I like ratted on them, and that person's okay, I just hated it for some reason. So yeah, ever since then I hated it. I did not want to go, I did not want to talk. So when I got there, I didn't really talk to her. We'd just be there for an hour straight chilling. She'd be looking at me, I'd be looking at her. I'd be looking at the floor, everything else. And I just basically tell her how my day went, and that was it. Or just sit there and she'd ask me, what do you want to talk about? And I'd just be like, I don't know. And then after like 2 or 3 sessions of that, she was like, are you really going to sit here and waste $60 every time you come here of your parents' money? And I was like, man, you're right. I guess I'll talk to you. And that's how she got me to start talking to her. Boxing was nice, actually. I enjoyed it, even though, again, me being bigger was kind of hard. I made a friend there who was also going through some shit with her best friend / boyfriend, who was also going through stuff, and it was a mess all the way till now. But that's not something I'm gonna get into. Yeah, not my place. It was now December. I broke up with my boyfriend the day before we turned 6 months in a text message, and it was the day before my mom's birthday. I was a bitch. The next day when I saw him at school, again, I broke up with him, I guess, just to make it like in person. He still wanted to date me. He forgave me in an instant, and he still loved me. I refused. but then we actually ended up acting like a couple for like a few weeks, still holding hands, still kissing, and that kept going until I couldn't do it anymore. I had broken someone so kind and beautiful, and he loved me regardless of that, and I just couldn't do it. He deserved the world and not a disgusting B-word like me. In regards to how I saw myself, I took this message, this quotation, I'll do that at the beginning and the end of it, from a message I sent my boyfriend now. The relationship I've had with my body, it's been a harsh one. You know what it's like to hate everything about yourself, hating looking in the mirror, wishing you looked like those Instagram models and those beautiful girls who always had boys falling over them. And then to see mine, to be completely disgusted with yourself in every way possible, that when someone asks you to name one good trait about you, you couldn't. I couldn't name anything I liked about myself. I hated all of it. Excuse me. I had started to force myself to throw up. I tried to avoid eating at school, and then I'd be so hungry at the end of the day that I would come home and binge, and then again make myself puke. My relationship with food has always been a hard one. I love it. I love sweets. I love the bread, the junk, the chips. I love it. And some of it does actually make me feel kind of sick when I eat it, but I eat it anyways, and in excess. I force myself to always finish what's on my plate, and I'll get even more if I like it that much, which is nothing bad, I'm just saying. On January 8th of 2017, so a month after, me and my boyfriend had broken up. We were texting, and that day I wasn't doing that well. I had bought a sharpener that day, and I had it next to me because it was just there because I wanted to try it, but I was trying to not try it, you know. Yeah, so I bought it, and I wasn't doing so well, like I said. I was talking to my ex, my first boyfriend. We were just talking, and he ended up telling me that, now I confessed to him saying that I wanted to feel what the sharpener felt like, and he told me that he could tell me the feeling instead. And I asked him what he meant, and he ended up telling me that he had attempted it. He cut himself like 13 times, and that honestly hurt me. I was crying nonstop. I couldn't control the thoughts in my head. The feeling was, it was a horrible, horrible feeling. I blamed myself for what I did to him, and I blamed myself for giving him the idea. I couldn't calm myself down. My sister came in, I told her to go away. She called my mom. I told my mom to go away. She was asking me to talk to her, but I just couldn't do it. I told her to leave. I couldn't stop crying, and it was too much, and it kept building up. I went crazy trying to unscrew this little tiny sharpener. I tried everything. I tried a card, a coin. I literally broke a CD to try to unscrew it. I tore my room upside down trying to find something until I found a pen with a metal holder, and I bent it off, and that worked. I told my parents I was gonna shower like I would always do. I turned on the water, turned up my music, and I sat on the seat of like my toilet, and like the top part that covers, you know. And all I remember is doing 3. And then the first 3, and when I came back to my senses and I looked at what I did, there was actually a total of 20. They were deeper than any of them that I had ever done. There was more blood, that actually like enough to like drip kind of the side of my thigh, and a part of my skin was hanging. Not a chunk, don't get grossed out, but it was kind of a lot. I told my mom if that day or the next day. That didn't go well. Like I said, they didn't know how to handle it, and the reaction was kind of harsh. She took a picture of it, sent it to my therapist, and yeah, my therapist told me I wasn't stable enough to be in a relationship. That was fair. I had to use my diary for these parts because some of it's kind of blurry. My memory isn't that good, like I said. A few months later, it's now April, I still hate my birthday. I wrote 2 days after my birthday in my diary saying, guess who's still here? Yeah, me, sadly. I had been clean for 3 months. But I was still wishing I was dead. To be honest, I was just thinking about how to kill myself. But I wanted to stay alive until my birthday present, which was going to see NF, he's a rapper, in concert on April 20th, 2017. I decided that I'd stay alive until then, enjoy that, and then make plans to end it. Pick a date, decide how I was going to do it, and end it.